You're watching WMBD News on the Record.
Welcome back. It's been some time since the state legislative session ended earlier this June. So how has everything shaped up since then? We have Representative Jahan Gordon Booth in the studio to talk all about it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And so how was this state legislative session? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? How would you rate it?
You know what, the thing about the General Assembly is that each year the process has certainly things that remind us of previous years, but every year always has its own little idiosyncrasies, so to speak. And unfortunately this year I would say that a lot of the preparation that we were doing this year was really focused on, frankly, the erratic behavior that's coming out of Washington, D.C. now, and trying to make plans and preparations for the things that we'll be able to do on behalf of families, schools, communities, healthcare. Obviously, healthcare is the largest economic engine in this region, and obviously with so much that's coming out of Washington, the largest impact is being made in healthcare. And so I would say that this year we have certainly had no shortage of tough years. It was a difficult year, but I do think that we ended the year on a solid ground. We were able to make over $380 million in cuts for last year's budget. We were also able to ensure that safety net hospitals, free and charitable clinics, federally qualified healthcare centers like the ones that we have here in Peoria, were able to receive more resources because we see what's coming out of Washington as it relates to the lack of health care that Illinoisans are going to be able to receive.
Yeah, and that there was PBM reforms and stuff
Yes.
like that. That was moving on towards, kind of the federal things you implicated. We had kind of a bit of a brawl of Texas coming all the way to Illinois to fight on redistricting.
Yes.
What was that like? Did you talk to any of them? Were you involved in any way?
So Jolanda Jones, I'm a part of an organization called Nobel Women. It's an organization of elected women across the country. And Jolanda Jones, she did not go back to Austin. She is in a, as she says, an undisclosed location still. Another one of my colleagues, Tony Rose, she left, and my colleague, Rep. Collier, who, so famously spent the night on the House floor when she was unwilling to sign the permission slip. She, I think she stayed on the floor, I believe, 30 hours because she was unwilling to sign the permission slip that would then have her tracked by police. Obviously, if she came back to the state, the intention was to come back to go to work. She was unwilling to sign that slip, and then many of the other folks were like, wait a minute, why are we're here to do a job. Like, why are we being followed, and stalked, so to speak? This is a very interesting time. It's a very interesting time to be an elected leader. I try not to get too high. I try not to get too low. I try to be very practical and pragmatic about everything that comes in front of me. I do think that we are finding ourselves at a really critical place, though, because of the arms race that I do think that is going to be set off by what happened in the Texas House of Representatives yesterday. When they passed that bill, it will likely go back to the Senate for reconciliation. It will then go to the governor's desk, Governor Abbott. He's clearly going to sign it. We all know what Gavin Newsom has indicated that he will do as a result of what is happening in Texas. And then when you see this happening, you're clearly going to see a domino of potentially states like Indiana, like Missouri, Republican states. You're going to see then pressure being put on states like Illinois, like New York, and others to then try to respond. And listen. So you're expecting
something big to come in the coming months?
There will be pressure.
Yeah.
There will absolutely be pressure.
And I think, wrapping up things that are kind of happening in the federal month, it's been 8 months since Donald Trump became president.
8 months.
There's been a lot of stuff that has happened, and, nothing short of no lack of news.
Yes.
Let's say that. I think it's fair to say, especially from going to some of these protests, some people are worried about, what's happening in America, what's happening in Illinois. So very briefly, do you think there's validness in that
Absolutely.
worriness?
They should be worried. I mean, this is clearly a time to be worried. The things that we are seeing are not normal. This is not when I got elected to office, what we were experiencing would have been unimaginable. Like, I legitimately cannot believe that these things are happening, and they're happening with frequency, they're happening every day, and they're continuing to ratchet up. I absolutely believe that we should all be concerned about where we find ourselves and where this country is going. I think that we should all tap into something much bigger than the typical Democrat, Republican talking points or feelings and perspectives that we have. And a lot of this stuff, to be honest with you, really boils down to what's right and wrong. What is our moral compass? Where are our true values? Do we really care about the world that our children, our prospective children, are going to inherit? Obviously, with things like AI, those are already going to have such significant changes on society. Do we also want to have less of a democracy as well? I would dare say no. This democracy that so many Americans, regardless of whether you were an immigrant, rather if you were the descendant of a slave, there are so many people that have added to the tapestry of this country, that's made this country, in spite of all of the flaws, etc. It is the beauty that this country has always made progress, in spite of all the challenging. There's no country that doesn't have a challenging history. So you still believe in America? Absolutely. I deeply believe in her, and I think she's worth fighting for. She's worth fighting for.
All right, sweet. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It's always so fast. Thank you for having me.